No. Hello. Hello, YouTube. Which we only keep because Facebook gets rid of our videos. Hello, Facebook. Welcome back to Two Pastors and a Podcast. Do.
All right.
I'm trying to find my get to know you question.
Oh, you're still searching. Good morning.
Good morning.
We had a week off for spring break.
It was lovely. I only forgot to do two things.
Your two pastors, though, in your Two Pastors in a Podcast, recognized very quickly that it would have been smart to work on Thursday
instead of Tuesday.
Yeah, it's not like we work a lot anyway. So Thursday definitely became Sunday definitely became oh no, should have met.
Live and learn.
Should have worked. It all worked out okay. Hey, by the way, Sunday, no one's on yet. Maybe I'll save this thought for a second. No, maybe no one will be on. Everyone forgot about us.
That's okay. We were gone for a whole week.
We missed 1 week. Mm-hmm. Everyone forgot. No, we've missed before. It'll be okay.
I could text Missy, say, get on.
Oh, yeah. Becky wanted to make it known. I listen too, though sometimes not live. So,
thank you, Becky.
Our audience is growing, and Tanner officially followed us on the right
this is
podcast.
True. Make sure you're following us.
We gained we made, just so you know, double digits. We hit 10 followers on Spotify.
How many listens?
That's another discussion. But 10 followers.
0.5.
But that means we are, hundreds of followers away from being compensated for our hard work.
I mean, it is such hard work.
It is. I think it's worth listening to, though.
It's fun.
I need people on Facebook and YouTube to please click that link that I put in there for Spotify. Go and follow and listen on Spotify.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that you listen live. If you do nothing else on Spotify, just turn it on one day at your desk and turn the volume down since you've already listened to it. So it gives us another listen and another follow. And then share it with your friends because
Pastor Caitlin doesn't.
Listen. This actually true, which you need to do a little.
I'm not on Facebook right now.
I know you got to still use it for ministry.
No,
sometimes.
I don't. I get on.
Well, then
once a week.
Then how are you gonna keep? How are you gonna broaden our reach?
This is a good question. I've actually thought about making a Harbor Kids Instagram page, but I wasn't sure the logistics of that. You know?
Things are weird.
Things are weird, so I wasn't sure if I would do it or not. I thought it would be fun. I do I like making videos and stuff on social media. I do that for my page all the time. I was like, maybe I do that for Harbor Kids, but some parents are weird about it, so maybe I won't do it. That was the whole thought process.
You're getting a sour apple Josh today.
Oh, no.
Because people are weird with like churches posting stuff. Man, parents have no concern about posting their kids online. Anyway, Sourpuss Josh today. It's Tuesday morning. I'm tired.
You got to do your signature.
I am also, just so everyone knows, I am officially on day 7 of keto.
So we're already past the grumpy pants part.
No, I'm still there.
Not quite. Okay.
No, I'm still there. I'm mad at myself for having to be back on keto.
Well, Margaret's here now.
I know.
So maybe she'll keep you on track.
Margaret and I need to do a better job of keeping each other on track. Sorry, Margaret, I failed you. We getting Kleenexes.
I was really happy to see her on Sunday, and Mike was here on Sunday. It was a good Sunday. It was good to see our friends again.
It was actually, like, all around a really good Sunday.
I should tell you this story. So we were supposed to be talking about, in children's church, we were supposed to be talking about Passover and how Jesus went to Lazarus' house, got his feet washed with the perfume, all that stuff. And then the second story was his triumphal entry, which, by the way, Eureka, what are you doing? Why are those two stories in the same lesson? Like, come on now. Should have been two separate lessons. Anywho, we ended up talking about the Passover and Moses and like where the origins of the Passover came from. Like, why would they celebrate it? All these things. The kids had tons of questions about Passover. So I ended up telling them the story about Moses, which apparently none of them remember.
Go figure.
But I'll tell you what, those kids, like usually it's a lot of chatter, it's a lot of talking. I'm telling them the story about Moses and the plagues and like why the Passover is so important, how we can trust what God says to us is true, all these things. They are like locked in.
That's awesome.
I'm like, okay, Holy Spirit, you do your work. I'll just try to not mess anything up.
Well,
so we didn't end up doing the lesson. We did a different lesson.
you did the lesson, though.
We did the correct lesson.
Yeah, that's right. I think it says something about, how do you say this? Like, in church especially, letting kids and youth drive the discussion sometimes is really helpful. Because if they've got questions, that means that the most apt they're going to be at paying attention is when you start to direct them in that way, because it's their question.
And
That's pretty exciting.
they do have a lot of questions, and there's many times where I have to be like, it's 11:45. Thank you for the question that I can't answer in 2 seconds. But when I am able to answer questions like that, it's a lot of fun because they get so focused and zoomed in, and you're just like, I see your wheels are working up in there.
The Passover is a great thing for them to learn that way too, because when you talk about Jesus and you talk about us, that's...
Yep. Now they have a little bit of foundation when we move on and actually talk about the Passover. Eureka. I'm very disappointed in you.
Yeah, I know.
Bad curriculum. Anyhow.
That's okay.
No, it is a good curriculum. I like Eureka. I just don't like their decision on that part.
Their scope and sequence was a little off.
Just a little.
That's okay. This is Sourpuss Caitlin today.
Sourpuss Caitlin.
Have you been enjoying your new workout bike? Have you been using it?
I've used it twice.
Oh, that's decent.
Twice since
it's more than I used it.
Yeah.
Collectively.
Yeah.
It's more than I used it in like 2 years.
I used it last night. It's really, I tell you what, I do not like those spin bikes that we had. We had a spin bike and it was stupid. I have a lot of complaints, which I won't air online. But I had a lot of complaints for them. And so when I got this recumbent bike and I can just sit back, move my legs, and scroll on my phone, I'm there.
Yeah. That's the way to do a workout, honestly.
All right, I got my get to know you question. Well, I might have two because I don't know if you. The first question is, are there any conspiracy theories that you believe in?
Oh, man.
Pick one.
Let's phone in a friend. I'm going to call Isaiah right now because
he doesn't need to work anyway. It's fine.
No, it's fine. If I have a conspiracy theory buddy, it's Isaiah for sure. He sent me a video over their vacation in South Carolina, and it was one of those hovering, flashing drone things or whatever they are, just way out in the ocean.
Yeah.
And now he's like, I got a video, and I was like, what? That's crazy. What's it doing out there? You know,
why
we're
is
like
it out there?
Rolling. If I could, my biggest conspiracy theory that I believe in, I don't think it's, but this is how tinfoil hat people are. Like, I don't think it's a conspiracy.
I don't think it's crazy.
Right now, do I want to do one from right now or like? I want to be careful. Right now, okay, I'm just going to say right now. Right now, my conspiracy theory is that the powers that be in our country, the government in our country, is purposefully tanking the economy so that we go into a recession so they can get better interest rates on our debt, and then as well as billionaires buying all the houses that get foreclosed on. That's what BlackRock will own the country because that's what they've been seeking to do. And there we are. So tell President Musk that we appreciate his hard work for robbing us. That's my conspiracy theory.
I mean, I have not a whole lot of faith in the government, so you don't have to do much convincing for me to believe those kinds of things either.
I mean, okay, now let's do one more fun. That's my current one. So maybe...
That one's Sourpuss Josh one. Give me a fun one.
I do think...
If you say the earth is flat, I'm going to come over there and smack you.
I'm not an idiot. I do think that there are aliens at Area 51.
Ooh.
I do. And I do think that the pyramids were not built by just human hands. Because the pyramids in Egypt and all over the globe that are very similar, no, we did not do that by ourselves. I really do think that aliens are more involved, whatever aliens are, more involved in the history of humanity than we want to admit with our rational, enlightened, we're so enlightened, modernity mindset.
Nice. Josh believes in aliens.
Put my hat on, tin foil, beam me up, Scotty. And maybe they were power centers. I think it wasn't always a desert out there. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's it. Isaiah would agree, though. Isaiah, would you agree? I think you would agree. I think I'm right.
Have you ever seen the movie Signs?
Yeah.
So this has nothing to do with conspiracy theories, but your aliens made me think of the movie Signs. I saw a meme of somebody meeting, I don't know how to say his name, M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan. I think it's yeah, whatever.
Anyways, it's a screen grab of the alien passing the alleyway or whatever. And he has the Sasquatch walk going on. Oh, yeah. It said, thanks for the childhood trauma. If I ever meet M. Night Shyamalan, that's what I would say too, because that movie scared me. So I would like there not to be aliens like that. I'm just saying, they're scary. I don't like them.
We're always afraid of people and things we've not met.
If they're going to attack me and kill me, then no, I don't want
That's the thing. What they helped build the pyramids. What makes us think they're going to attack us?
The aliens in M. Night Shyamalan's Signs movie were not building pyramids.
Yeah, those are the wrong conspiracy
They were
theories.
stealing dogs and eating people or something. I can't remember. It was too traumatic.
Okay, so what's your conspiracy theory?
The Meg is real.
The megalodon?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like still alive?
Still
though?
alive.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, was it the Meg, the first movie where it's in the deep under the cloud in the Marianas Trench?
Mm-hmm. Yep. This is why I don't go in the ocean.
Okay, fair enough.
I
mean, I'm not going to debate that. I think there are aliens at Area 51. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
Why do you think there's aliens at Area 51?
Because the movie Independence Day.
Yes.
What does that mean? Listen, you don't get this stuff out of thin air. Like, there's some crazy stuff happening out there in the desert.
Those are scary aliens, too, and I love that movie. I don't know what the difference is between Signs and Independence Day for me.
Independence Day, they were straight up going to wipe out the whole planet.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. It wasn't just, isolated.
I don't know. I don't know. No, I didn't grow up with people, convincing me. I think the older I've gotten, the more I'm like,
aliens.
Why would they hide it? Why would the government hide it? Those are the things I wrestle with where it's like, okay, am I crazy? The government hides a lot of things, though, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Do you think that God just made a bunch of planets and was like, okay, experiments?
Experiments. No, I don't.
See which ones work.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. If and I think sometimes some Christians would, maybe I was being a little thoughtless there. It's a sensitive subject to talk about aliens because then it's like, well, God only created the, as far as life.
Right.
Genesis,
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I've always viewed science and scientific thought. Science is not They don't ask religious questions, though modern science tends to try to do that when they try to talk about whether there's a God or not. It's like that's not a scientific inquiry. But,
Right.
I've always kind of viewed science as like as we learn more about the universe that God created, the more we learn about God. So it just opens your mind up more.
Yeah.
So if there were sentient life somewhere, I would say, oh, okay, so the creation narrative extends way beyond us as well. And then you say, well, what about Jesus? No, he became human. He entered creation and all of creation is saved because God enters the created order as a created being. So, those kinds of things. No one wants to hear about that. So if there are aliens, I think maybe they talk about Jesus too.
So aliens can be saved from original sin as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now we're going cuckoo, but that's okay.
Going for a ride on this Tuesday morning. Okay, what's your second one?
That was the second one was just in case you didn't have any conspiracy theories
What's the
that
second
you
one?
wanted to talk.
I want to know the second one.
I just wanted to know if there is like a skill that you haven't been able to learn yet that you would like to before, like your kick the bucket skill.
Skill. Kick the bucket skill.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
I used to say playing guitar, and then it hurt my fingers, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, that gets better, though.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
And then my fingers are all funky looking, and when I play the piano, it feels weird, so no. Which my brother would say that's stupid because he also plays the piano and plays guitar. But I don't care. I don't know if I have one right now. When I was younger, I used to say I would never go back to school, and here I am. But like, I always wanted to learn how to sew really well. Don't have time to do that. I don't want to learn to cook really well. I already have somebody who does that in my family.
If I were thinking about the apocalypse,
Oh no!
and all those other conspiracy
Speaking
theories
of
that I believe
theories.
I haven't learned how to. I've never taken the time to hunt and harvest, so I don't have the skill of being able to harvest. And as a man, I naturally want to take care of my family, and so when I think about, what happens if everything falls apart in the world someday, like you won't be able to go to the grocery store.
Right.
So how do I take care of my family? So this whole survival skill, and some people take it way too far, but just basic survival skill
like
of gathering food,
canning, learning to
hunting
can
and gathering
well.
and preserving, like those things I don't have a skill in.
Yeah.
I would like to have that skill.
I know. Like once the internet goes down, I'm kind of in trouble because that's where I go to find all my.
Okay, there was a moment last night. Last night, Lily got in trouble.
Ooh, Lily.
But not because she did anything wrong, but more because of what she wasn't doing. So we did all the work in their bedrooms, painted them, moved their bedrooms, she just kept laying in bed looking at her phone or reading books throughout the whole week and didn't really help get anything done. So her room was a mess. It was a brand new room, brand new painted. So I said at dinner time, you're grounded from your phone until your bedroom. If phone and TV, you can't have anything on until your room is clean. So she goes, I go downstairs and she goes to work on her room. And like an hour later, she's like, you want to come see my room? So I go up there and I'm like, okay, cool. So one more hour without your phone and your TV. And man, she was disrespectful and mad about it the whole time. And it started out I can push the envelope. I understand that I can. And so I can start out being sarcastic, and then based on the response, that can quickly go from me kind of joking to, oh no, now I'm serious.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened last night. But there was a moment where I was like, all right, she's mad, she can't be on her phone, and I was getting some keto ice cream because that's how I
survive.
I eat very little through the day so I can enjoy ice cream at night. This is my toxic keto trait. But anyway.
That's called disordered eating.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I do. That's fine. Take what you get. But so I said, let's go upstairs and watch a show. She was just not happy or whatever. And, we had a good talk about that. But then we start watching this show, and she's just going to sleep. I'm like, kept waking her up. I'm like, hey, you awake? Just pretending like she didn't actually. Oh, my eyes are just. I'm like, what did they just say? I don't know. And I recognize that she's so tired because she's up so late. I let her eventually go get her phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then she couldn't go back to sleep anymore. She started laying in bed and she kept trying to turn shows on that would make, and she couldn't go to sleep, but she was sitting there staring at her phone.
Yeah.
And it was such an eye-opener to me. These personal devices.
Mm-hmm.
So she's so stimulated by what she has in her hand that when she just watches a TV show, she passes out.
Yep.
But the moment that handheld device, that personal handheld device, whether it's a phone or a tablet, whatever, the moment it hits her hand, her brain's going again because it's so stimulated she can't even fall back to sleep. And I was like, oh my goodness. And we had this talk. I was like, honey, you get so mad. You don't even know what to do with yourself. I tell you can watch TV and you're still like mad and you're frustrated because you can't have your phone. I was like, honey, like there's gonna come a day where you can't just stare at your phone all day long.
Yep.
And us parents are not good examples because you know, I can sit on my phone at night. Carrie, as soon as Carrie gets home from work, Carrie's brain rot, you know, that kind of a thing. And it's just this go-to device where we think, this was my eye-opener last night, we think we're relaxing. But we are not.
No. Okay, so we're trying to get Asher's mental health better.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out like ADHD, ADD, whatever. And their main advice is to exponentially limit any screens.
Yeah.
And she said, the doctor was like, you think that they're hyper-focused when they're looking at these screens, at these video games. That's not the case. It's increasing activity. So you think it's hyper-focused when in actuality it's hyperactivity because everything is changing every couple seconds. And it's just making your brain like go crazy. And so obviously it makes you tired because there's so much happening in your brain.
But you can't go to sleep.
But you can't go to sleep.
Yeah.
And so like Asher's the same way. And it's a love-hate relationship I have with the Switch and the tablet and stuff. It's like, okay, I give you this and you'll leave me alone for an hour.
Right.
But when I take it away from you, it's going to be World War III.
Yeah.
So you have these devices and we don't have that accountability like a child does, you know? Like I can say, okay, Asher, you have 30 minutes, then we have to put it down, you have to go do something else.
Oh, good.
If you and I had 30 minutes on our phone, if me and Carrie had 30 minutes on our phone, we would be frustrated too.
Yes.
So
I don't think we want to be honest about that, but I think you're really right.
I have noticed that it is the bane of my existence when it comes to procrastinating.
Yeah.
Especially when I know like I have a big paper to write or I have a bunch of pages that I have to read and it's just like, ugh. And it's not always stuff that I don't enjoy. It's just like I feel like I'm tired, so I'm not going to do it. But then I get on my phone and I get more tired.
Right, because you think you're relaxing.
But you're not.
But you're not. Your brain's racing. You're getting a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I end up having to put my phone like in a different room. I'll text like the people who are important and say, if you need somebody, call Keith or, you know, you can get a hold of me in a certain way. Come knock on my door, Mom and Dad.
I'm going to pull out my phone for a second, ironically. I'm going to...
Rude.
I can't do it here.
Rude.
I can't do it here. I don't think I can do it.
What is it?
On my...
Tippy-tappy, tippy-tappy.
Albert Hung, the district superintendent of the Northern California district, made a post a while ago. Yeah, it's a meme. And it says this: remember, we're living in a dopamine land where we are obsessed with our phones. Mm-hmm. This is lowering our oxytocin levels, which is a leading cause of modern anxiety. And he quotes, he says, we must return to an oxytocin oasis where slower, phone-free, loving moments become our favorite form of relaxation.
This is true. When you're with your kids, even, and your go-to is to say a couple things to them and then go back to your phone, you don't get, of course you're going to be annoyed with them all the time. Like I have to put my phone down and say, okay, Ella, let's go play for a little bit. And we'll be playing and she'll start giggling. And it's literally the best thing that you've ever heard when she gets to giggling.
I know.
But I miss it a lot of the times because I'm on my phone. And
Lily did not enjoy father-daughter time last night.
Yeah.
Like that joy, that oxytocin oasis as opposed to a dopamine land. It's such a good differentiation there. Like that was not enjoyable to her.
Yeah.
She was agitated by that. And it's like, wait, when did spending time with each other become the nuisance?
Yeah.
Well, because the people around you are no longer able to, in all the right ways, like stimulate you, bring you life and joy, and and we all know like your brain has dopamine receptors, and sat under. I think I've talked about this before, but I sat under a theologian who dealt with some psychology stuff or whatever, and this is in seminary. He talked about the anhedonic state. The anhedonic state being like you have brain dopamine receptors in your brain. You start out with a bunch of them. So when you think of a kid that gets super excited when, or super scared when the lightning strikes across the sky, like that's like, oh my goodness, that's like it doesn't take very much dopamine to give you that sense of joy or enlightenment or inspiration or excitement or fear or whatever. But the more you stimulate your brain, those dopamine receptors start to die off, which means that you need more dopamine to get the same amount of euphoria or joy or excitement or fear or whatever. Hence, why you see daredevils doing increasingly scarier and scarier things because they don't feel fear until they reach a certain level. And then once they reach that, then they've got to go further and further and further. So what's happened, so I look at Lily last night, let's say, she's hit this anhedonic state where unless she's watching TV and on her phone and she can sit by you, she feels lifeless. Bored. She starts to fall asleep. Like it's such a disengaged, hard world. And it's like, oh, like you can't even enjoy the sunrise or the sunset. That doesn't mean anything to you anymore. A good thunderstorm, to sit outside and watch a good thunderstorm. No, I'd rather sit inside and watch my phone. The joy of relationships being our form of relaxation, that does not exist in a dopamine land anymore. And I think we need to be more aware of it. To your point earlier, we don't have the accountability. Let's just spend our time talking about that today.
Okay. Accountability.
Well.
And adults.
Yeah. Let's talk about that today and this idea of not just doing it to your kids, but also being the example that your kids need, like hold yourself accountable too. But in good news for anhedonic state, by the way, your brain heals, your body self-heals. And so...
Which is really cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. So you might have fried off most of your dopamine receptors. The beautiful thing about God's creation is there's healing. Yeah. So over time, your brain will build back receptors. You know what's exciting about that is that over time, you will start to find joy and excitement in things that you didn't think were joyful or exciting anymore. You will. You will. I will also say on a more serious note, that pornography addiction and sex addiction is entirely tied into anhedonia. And why that goes, like we live in a very perverted society and we talk about it being an over-sexualized society. No one would disagree with that.
Right.
We look at our society and we see men and women both. It used to be, it's just men. No, it's men and women both, engaging in things that are crazy. and wrong and was like, oh, they're just mentally. No. They are the product of a society that overstimulates to the point where you need more and more and more and more to get that same sense that you got so long ago. So pornography rolls and rolls down the hill.
That's what addiction does. Like
That's exactly right.
Addiction.
Any kind of addiction, you need more and more and more. Why people are struggling with why our overdoses have become so prevalent is because drugs aren't doing the same thing. Right. So what do they need? More and more and more and more. We need a lot more grace. But we also need to have a more serious conversation in the church about how the church needs to change in a culture that is brain dead. That how do we bodily live differently in a society where no one finds joy in anything?
Which is crazy because I don't know, maybe they did know this, but when they made these little computers in our hands, I don't think they had any idea that this would happen. Maybe they did. Ooh, conspiracy theory. Maybe they did know that they were going to make us brain dead.
I don't think we ever fully understand how a personal device held up to your phone with, I think they, over the past 10 years, 15 years, I think they do.
Oh, yeah.
Everything is designed to overstimulate and oversell.
Yeah. When did you get your first smartphone?
Shortly after the iPhone first came out, so 2006.
Okay. I didn't get a smartphone until a couple years into college.
Oh, I got an iPhone 3GS. That was my very first smartphone.
So I don't have the same experience as other people my age because I know a lot of people had smartphones before me. But that was... Is that 20 years ago? Almost 20.
iPhone came out about 19, 20 years ago.
Getting old.
Yeah.
So there is plenty of research that's happened since then on how it has affected especially children's brains. I hear a lot and I read a lot that this is the most anxious
100%.
any generation has been.
But that's the misnomer.
Yeah.
I want to say that's a misnomer.
Oh. Why?
Because it projects all of that on that generation and we don't take any ownership of it ourselves.
Oh, right.
Meaning, I think my generation is the most anxious of all time.
And maybe it's just because they haven't done like the studies to throw it out there, or it might be fear mongering.
Well, no, I mean, honestly, this is what we're good at in society.
Yeah.
It gives us someone to point to.
Mm-hmm.
This is the sin in the garden that created the fall, or not created, but began the curses in the fall of humanity. It wasn't that Adam and Eve ate the fruit. Mm-hmm. It was when God's grace entered the picture and gave them an opportunity to take responsibility, they were able to blame it on the person around them. Mm-hmm. We in society love to categorize groups of people.
Yeah.
We do that with every generation. Mm-hmm. And the big battle in the church for a long time was millennials. Oh, millennials, blah, blah, blah. And now when I hear people say millennials, I'm like, wow, you are stuck in the past. Like, can you catch up a little bit? But we love to...
we don't like Gen Z now.
Yeah, we love to categorize groups of people.
Yes,
why?
we do.
Because it's easy to stereotype and pigeonhole and whatever. When we do this with anxiety and overstimulation, it allows you and I and our respective generations. You're a very young millennial. I'm kind of...
You're an elder millennial.
I'm kind of in between Z or X, and we're a Zennial, I think is what they call us. So I can relate with both Gen X and millennial. Mm-hmm. So kind of older. Anyway, we can disregard how we are in the same boat if we can say, oh, it's the next generation. Yeah. That's the most. No, talk to an adult right now.
Oh.
Talk to an adult and ask them how happy they are with their life.
Yeah. It definitely messes with your mental health. Like there's
ask them if they can go home and not have the TV on and put their phones away. Listen, in my own church, I know plenty of people in my church, not one, not two, but plenty, where the TV's on all the time and the phones are on our hands all the time. Tell me, how happy is your home?
When my kids come home from school, we have a policy that nothing turns on until Asher has finished his homework. I say, you can do anything you want. for the next hour. You can read, color, play, whatever you want. But you cannot turn on a screen. So they go and they play, and like, that's the happiest they are. Most days.
Yes.
Most days.
Why? Because it's relational.
Given they're siblings, they fight and they argue.
It doesn't matter. We all fight. We all argue.
But that's the happiest they are.
Yeah.
And I push it back even further. I'm like, okay, your homework's done. All right, go do something else.
Yeah.
We're not turning it on until after dinner or whatever it is.
I mean, I don't want to downplay the truth that, yes, the next generations coming up don't know how to function in life.
Yeah.
They go to work. They can't even work a job that's pretty stimulating without having their phone on them.
Yep.
Like, it is a crazy life situation that we're in. And sometimes I would say the best thing that can happen is everything collapse. Internet,
yes.
power, all of it, just go out the window.
They say that nobody can multitask. Like, that's not a real thing.
Scientifically, no.
Scientifically, you can say that you can multitask,
That's right.
but that means you don't do
Carrie
anything
does not
well.
like it when I bring that up.
Well, I can't. Like, I know I can't.
Yeah, I can't.
So if I have even music on, it has to be like not even elevator music. They call it ambient noise, basically. But it's not the kind of stuff that you guys play overhead on a Sunday when it's just me. It's not that kind of ambient noise. It's like musically inclined. But that's literally all I can do. So most of the time, I'd rather have nothing. But that's how my brain works. And I think that's how most people's brain works.
It is how all brains work.
Like, if you need to focus on something, but you can't, we should probably start putting some stuff away.
Okay, so on a Sunday morning, this is how my brain works.
Mm-hmm.
My phone goes in my office. By the way, just to remind church people, if you need to get a hold of me on Sunday morning,
Don't
text
text
somebody
him.
else. But I put my phone in my office, and one of my biggest pet peeves as a pastor is looking at other pastors preaching and seeing their phone in their pocket. I came across a video or a short of another pastor, a big church, and he's got a table like mine. He's preaching. He's got his laptop up. He's got his phone sitting next. It looks just like this, and I'm like, fire him. That's kind of how I thought. But anyway, I put it away because I want to be present.
Right.
Okay, so I'm present, but I have. We're a small church, so when I say a lot of people, I don't mean that, but yeah, for life's purposes, a lot of people that I want to pay attention to, that I want to engage with. I see a lot of things go. I'm pretty overstimulated on Sunday, which is why Monday is so tiring for me.
Yep.
If you try to tell me to do something Sunday morning,
It's not going to happen.
if you try to remind me to do this or pray for this or pray for that or whatever, and then you get a prayer time and I forget. It's because I can't do all of this and that at the same time.
Yeah.
I want to be present to everyone and everything, but I can't retain everything because your brain's not able to do that scientifically. So you see me now, like when people tell me there's a prayer request, I run over to my table, I write the prayer request down because I know I can't multitask. But anyway, back to the conversation at hand, it's that stimulation. Like, it's too much kind of a thing. But to our kids, to your point, let's talk about the real thing today. So we've talked about all this stuff that's real. And I think in our homes, again, to capitalize on this, our kids aren't happy, our kids are anxious, our kids are scared, don't know how to handle pressure. Parents don't know how to handle the pressure of raising their kids.
Yeah, I hear a lot of I get overstimulated. I get overwhelmed, and I don't, like, my body shuts down.
Overwhelmed is an indicator that you are overstimulated before your family, period. When you're overwhelmed by your kids or your spouse, that's the red flag that says something else is out of whack. Don't pick up your phone and separate yourself from your family, who is your number one call, because you're not willing to make changes outside of your family so that you can enjoy your family when you're home.
So I've noticed something that I do personally is I can get overstimulated easily too, as any person can nowadays.
Sure. Yeah.
When my kids are doing something that gives me anxiety, I'll disassociate by looking on my phone.
Yes.
Because I'll be like, well, whatever happens, happens. I don't have to worry about it. Just like, that's not healthy. I got to learn how to deal with this, guys.
That's not healthy.
That's not healthy at all.
Well, and we've talked about this at our home. It's not that home doesn't get overwhelming.
Right.
It's not that there aren't moments where your kids are just like, okay, I can't do the arguing anymore. Like, the worst thing you can do is shove a phone in your face or turn your TV on to disassociate with that. There are other things that actually bring joy and peace and calm into your life that are really relaxing and not more stimulation, because every time you get that hour of brain rot, right?
Are you actually
what happens?
relaxing?
But what happens when you go back?
Yeah, nothing's changed.
In 5 minutes, you're overwhelmed and snippy again because your kids are fighting. So you didn't actually accomplish anything during that time.
Yep.
You didn't. You did nothing to relax. You just overstimulated yourself some more. And if we were honest about it, we didn't disassociate with our kids because we were overwhelmed by them. It's because we're addicted to the stimulation of our phone. And we would rather get to that than deal with the relationships that are right in front of us.
It's funny when you read like any like parenting book or anything, and they say, you know, it is normal to get upset and get overwhelmed and, you know, all those things. They don't ever say, go look at your phone for 20 minutes.
No, never.
No, they say, take deep breaths.
Right.
Go outside.
Yeah. Ground yourself.
Ground yourself. Go to a different room. Your kids aren't going to die because you walk into a different room. Like, that's the kind of things they say. If you have a newborn, you put your newborn in the crib and you shut the door and you let them cry for a couple minutes, and that's okay.
Hold on.
No, that's okay.
That's going to start a bigger argument with modern people.
You can fight with me. It's fine.
No, it's fine. I completely agree. It sounds heartless, like, oh no, you're traumatizing your children. I completely disagree.
But
my girls are very healthy, and they've learned to take care of themselves because of that. But they still come to our beds occasionally. They still work things out. Like,
but how do you, as an adult who doesn't have any rules, quote unquote, how do you have the accountability to do these things?
Right. So back to your thing that really stood out to me, and that's, I can look at Lily and I can say, hey, no phone, no TV for an hour. I'm worried about your health. This is not okay that you're addicted to your phone, that you feel like you can't be happy unless you have that. And you're mad that you're hanging out with people, or even when you're hanging out with your friends, like you've got to have your phone in front of you. I can say all that. We all do this for our kids. We struggle with letting adults do that for us.
Oh, yeah. You bring up somebody's been on their phone too much and they get very defensive.
Well, hey, I can tell you right now, to those that keep your TVs on 24 hours a day, don't turn them on anymore. And what are you going to get? You know, I'm not saying this would happen here. I'm saying in most places, be like, well, no, I mean, how are you going to stay engaged? And how are you going to do this? And how are you going to do that? It's like, I don't care.
When I first got married, Keith comes from a family where there's a TV in every room.
Yeah.
And I came from a family that had one TV in the living room. And I never had control of the remote. Like, it was one of those situations. So he was very like, let's get a TV in our bedroom, blah, 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 blah. And I put my foot down for the longest time. One, because I can't sleep if there's any noise or semblance of a light or anything. That's mostly anxiety because it's kind of been fixed a little bit in recent years. But it's one of those things where you have to realize, I want to have a personal connection with my person outside of just watching like anything together, those kinds of things. And I think that when I explained that to him, he understood. I mean, we have a TV in our bedroom now, but like I said, anxiety is different now.
Sure.
But I don't even remember where I was going with this, guys. My brain's
All
tired.
right, that's all right.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. You can't have accountability like with your kids or with yourselves if you have a screen, a private, personal screen right there in front of your face. You can barely do it if you have a screen in every bedroom.
I'm not saying that, like, you don't watch TV. I'm not saying that's not a good relational thing to do sometimes. Like to sit down and watch a family movie or on a date, go watch a movie. But what do you typically do on a date? Do you just go to a movie?
You shouldn't.
Like, no, most of the time what you do is you go to dinner for a while and then you go to a movie and then you spend some time together afterwards. You're couching it between the relational components of getting to know somebody. In our marriages and in our families, the breakdown is not that society has infiltrated the church in the most traditional sense. It's that we have sandwiched our relationships between stimulation and entertainment. It's completely wrong. Like, we force our kids to sit down for 5 minutes to ask how their day was going, and we immediately then turn on TVs and phones, and we're back to our own private
life.
Yeah, dopamine land.
Yep.
And so it's fine to have those things, but we have to start being honest as Christian folk. So more to where I want to get today. As Christian people, we are told to keep things in balance.
Yeah.
Paul would say, hey, there's nothing wrong with anything. All things are permissible. And he's right? That's biblical. He would say in the same sentence, though, but not all things are beneficial.
Right.
And Paul, if we use Paul's logic, and this is what, if you study the 7 deadly sins, it is this verbatim. There are all these good things that God's created, that God has allowed us to even create through his image in us of being creators, that are good. Fine. Food, passion, relationships, happiness and joy, and all those. These are good things. Resting, relaxation. That's a good thing. Those are virtuous ways of living, right? Those are pieces that are kind of virtuous. The deadly sins are all those good things that that become out of balance, where they become the priority. So, like if you look at gluttony, enjoying food is right. God put the food on the earth, and he wants you to enjoy it. He wants you to take a bite of your favorite thing and feel that hit of just, yes. Gluttony is the twist of that.
Yeah.
It's when we're overeating the good things because we're obsessed with that feeling. And that's the only thing that's bringing us joy anymore, is just stuffing our face with food to the point where we are way overweight. I'm not saying that being overweight is sinful. I'm saying it's just, I look over the past couple months, like I've been overeating because I've been allowing that to fix my internal strife and thinking that's out of balance. That's gluttony. Right. You look at relaxation. That's a virtue, but Sabbath is a biblical thing. But sloth is a real sin where all of a sudden it's only about not doing anything. So my point being, like, it's okay to have entertainment. It's okay to have your phone. It's okay to have these moments where you collectively and relationally or even privately do some of those things. We are out of whack, though. They are. What do you call the 8th deadly sin in a modern world? I think we need to have a bigger conversation about that, and that is this overstimulation, this entertainment kind of focus. Like, what's the gift? What God's given us the gift of being able to enjoy things and feel excited about things and be engaged by things. But the deadly sin is out of balance, and that's all I can do. And all my it robs me, and this is the deadly sins in a key. Not only separates you from God, but every deadly sin separates you from the people around you. Perhaps you notice that things are out of balance when your phone becomes what separates you from your kids every time things get a little overwhelming, or your spouse, or you can't hang out together without watching something because you're just bored with each other. That might be that deadly sin mentality. It's like, okay, it's separating you from God because you're for sure not making time for the Lord. But it's also separating you from each other. Like maybe there's an eighth deadly sin in today's society and culture. We recognize it in our kids. And we try to hold our kids accountable by setting standards for them and TV limits and screen time limits and stuff. We absolutely resist that for ourselves. What I want to say is that your kids see your actions more than your correction on them. Your kids will follow your behavior more than you're telling them you shouldn't do this. So if you tell your kids, if I tell Lily, this being on your phone like this is not okay. You need to not be on your phone. You can watch TV for a little bit, or maybe, but let's play a board game. Let's go outside, play some basketball. Let's do this. And then I send my kids out to do that. And then I'm sitting in my living room watching my phone. My children will follow that, not what I had them do. They will see what I had them do as a punishment to keep them from enjoying the things that you get to enjoy. But really what they're seeing is that you want to hold them accountable, but you won't let anyone hold you accountable. And I think this is really fitting when you think about Lent moving into Easter. The real truth of Lent is when you share what you're fasting from, you're opening yourself up to accountability.
I fast from social media. Most Lents. That's what I do.
And if you get on social media, everyone knows it, that knows that, and they're like, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be on Lent. If I'm fasting from food, like sugar, let's say, because I know that I can't not eat one cookie, I'm eating 5 at a time. It's partly why I'm on keto right now. Keto forces me to say no. It absolutely does. It's like, okay, it's not a healthy diet. I 100% agree with that. 100%. I don't believe in the all carnivore diet. God created plants for a reason, y'all. Like, I don't believe in that. I know it's not healthy to eat all of that fat. What keto does for me in seasons like this is when I've recognized that I lost control and I'm diving into eating cookies all the time and bread all the time and stuff like that. One, it's terrible for my body because my body specifically being kind of pre-diabetic and all those things. But two, I get around those cookies or I get around that food. And Carrie did this the other day. It was so good. She's like, we went to breakfast company over spring break. We took the girls there once, which don't take your whole family there. The bill goes, woo. But Emma always gets this stuffed French toast, which is basically dessert on a plate for breakfast. But, it's her treat every once in a while. And Carrie's like, it took everything in me not to lick the knife. Everything in me. And it's true. If I wasn't on keto during that time, we would have licked the knife. We might have even indulged a little bit. But when we're in that moment, it's like a corrective. No. I have to say no to that.
I think that's really interesting that you said for your body it's bad.
Yes.
That's kind of how sin is.
Yes.
Like, Paul says everything's permissible, but you have to know how God created you.
Yeah, and it's individual and corporate. But
yeah. Of course. We could talk about the corporate accountability too. But like, if you know, which everybody does, that you have an addictive personality.
Yeah. Hands up.
Yep.
In the crowd. Hands up in the crowd. Yep.
Don't always be doing the thing that you're addicted to. And it's easier said than done, especially when it comes to like phones.
But how do you do that? You need accountability.
Yes.
Listen, if you struggle with phone time as a Christian, you need someone in your home, in your private life, someone somewhere. If you struggle with that, you need someone to recognize that, and you need to give them permission to call you out on it. You have to. If you need to go in your phone as an adult and set a time limit on Facebook,
which they have,
they do. Don't do it. Do it for yourself. If you're one of those, and I know who you are. You know who you are. that you're like, oh, I've been scrolling for 2 hours and I didn't. You set a 15-minute or 30-minute. 30 minutes still too long, I think. But 15 minutes, you set that timer and it shuts it down. You have to do that for yourself.
Yep.
There were, when we were, coming up through college and stuff, there were lots of college guys that dealt with pornography addiction. And what did they do? They would put programs on their computer that would make sure they blocked all those things and gave even email reports that emailed to their accountability partners their internet usage.
Yep. Was it now Covenant Eyes or something like that now?
Yeah.
Something like that.
And that's just one example, but I'm saying like you have to open yourself up to accountability. If you think as a Christian, you can do this on your own.
You cannot.
You can't. And that's pride. Deadly sin.
Yep.
Separates you from God, separates you from other people. One of the greatest gifts God's given us is one of the hardest in the church, and that is accountability. But accountability is not to make you feel bad. Accountability is so that you feel better about the life you're living for Christ. Margaret and I, you talked about this earlier. It's not like Margaret and I call each other all the time.
Right.
Margaret will sometimes see what I'm eating on a Wednesday night. And she'll make a comment like, I kind of noticed you eating a couple of cookies today or something like that. Or she'll come up to me and she'll say, Pastor, I'm coming to Wednesday night, but I can't eat dinner. I have been bad. And I know, I'm sorry, I'll share this about Margaret. Margaret's Achilles heel is ice cream. She loves ice cream. The one thing I will not do is go over to Margaret's house with a pint of ice cream. Because that's not beneficial to her. And that's not how I can help hold her accountable. We all need that. It's not to make Margaret feel miserable because she can never have ice cream. It's to say, okay, you had ice cream, now we call it quits, because she and I both know where we don't want to end up because we know what we've been saved from.
Yep.
Most people don't know this. I'm down 65 pounds from 9 years ago when I moved here. And it has been an up and down battle. But it has taken a lot of work and a lot of accountability to become healthier and regain control of my life. It's so important for Christian parents and families and adults in general. Because, listen, like the goal of the Christian is not to get married and have kids. I'm very Pauline like this. The goal is to follow Jesus. If you get married, great. If you don't, that's a higher calling. We should preach that more. We should teach that more. Following Jesus and making disciples is God's goal for your life. Now, if you get married, they become God's will for your life. Plain and simple. We can talk about that another day. But this goes for everyone, is you know what you've been saved from. You need to follow Jesus to the best of your ability, and you need accountability to get there, to live your best life in Christ. And we need to turn off our TVs. And we need to set our phones aside because there is a world of beauty and God is moving in powerful ways that we can't see because we need a Pentecostal experience because that's all we have room for is a dopamine hit on a Sunday morning. But God moves in a Sunday morning service not through all the big ways, but more often than not, God moves in the silence, as we learned through Isaiah. And you can't appreciate the silence and the small ways of God moving if you can only ever feel God through the big explosive moments. But that's not God-given. That means that what you're doing in your private life and in your personal life outside of the gathering of God's people is preventing you from seeing the multitude of small, quiet things that God is doing in your life with you and for you. You can't see how God's calling you to people if all you can do is sit at a phone and stare at that, and that's the only way you can feel good.
So if you look at a child's reaction to being grounded from their phone for a couple hours.
That's mine too.
Our reactions should not be the same.
But it is.
But it is.
I know, and that's okay.
So as Americans, we're very much scared of feeling any guilt, any shame. Oh, yeah. You get told that no judgment, no guilt, no shame, like those kinds of things. That's very prevalent in today's
You do you.
society. You do you.
Yeah. Truth is relative. Health is relative. Yeah.
When it comes to accountability, I think it's important that we're so honest with ourselves. We can't become a holy people without accountability.
No, we can't, because
So
we'll
if-
keep doing those
Yeah.
things.
So if you need somebody, that is one thing that there isn't any shame in. Like, we need each other to hold each other accountable. And I think about vulnerability time.
Sure.
I can get a little sourpuss Caitlin sometimes. And I'll be on the phone with somebody that I won't say. And my husband will be like, Caitlin, be nice.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of me, I don't want to, none of that. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
You take a breath. You recognize that something is off. Somebody has seen it.
Right.
And you change.
Yeah, sometimes we don't realize that when we talk about holiness, we're talking about everything in our lives, personally and corporately, being brought back into balance and into alignment with God and God's will and God's love for us and our call to love one another. It's not always eradicating things. It's about realignment and being totally aligned with what God wants for our lives and God's will. And I'm trying to think of where I was going with that, but what were you saying? Wait, you were...
ADHD.
I know. This is the moment. This is the moment.
Choo-choo.
No, what did you just say?
I was talking about how...
Oh, the friend on the phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
How we align.
So accountability
ourselves.
is about bringing you back into alignment. And so maybe one of the best things, if we're honest with ourselves, the best thing we can do is allow someone to hold us accountable, to recognize when things are out of alignment in our life. That is how we become holy people. And, when I look at, let's say, to be vulnerable in my own house, when Carrie or I are like, I just need to go. It's too much. I'm overwhelmed. And then first thing we do is go, sit in front of a screen for a while. That's not okay.
Yeah.
That needs to be put your phone away, go sit outside, go take a walk. Let's play a board game, read a book, do something else that actually brings you relaxation in the right kind of way.
Yeah.
And it will help in your prayer time. It will help in your scripture reading time and you're meditating on scripture. The Bible will be way less boring.
Yeah.
When you allow yourself to be brought back into a right alignment with God, God's will for your life, God's will for your family, God's will for the people around you in your neighborhood. You'll get excited and feel a euphoria on a Sunday morning that you've not felt in a long time, even when nothing's special, because you're ready for it.
Yeah.
And you're open to it. So being brought into alignment's key, and being held accountable is key. And if we can say the next generation is so messed up because of these things, we have to stop and say, that didn't happen because they came out of the womb with a phone attached to their ear. That happened because we are too. And until we start to correct ourselves, we can't correct our kids. Until we start to let God and God's church and the people we trust, until we start to allow them to bring us into balance and alignment with God's will, we can't do that for our kids.
Right.
And that we used to say this, I feel it more spiritually now, not so much more psychologically, is don't use the tablet as the babysitter. Don't use the phone as the babysitter. And I don't mean that by giving it to your kids.
Yeah.
Don't use it yourself.
Yep.
Sure, have a phone game. Sure, have a show that you watch or two. But that can't be all. And if you're feeling anxiety or overwhelmed and disconnected, let's start there. Again, Paul says, all things are permissible. Okay. So all things are meant to be enjoyed in their right order, but not all things are beneficial.
Yeah.
They're not beneficial for your family or you personally, like you alluded to, but also, are they beneficial for the church?
Yeah.
Well, okay, we can do all kinds of things in church, but are they beneficial? No, not all of them are beneficial for this unique community or this unique congregation. So you got to think about like how you're living out of order in your personal life affects how you live in your corporate life.
Which is, it's a crazy thing to say to an American.
Yeah, I know. Hyper-individualized Enlightenment America, where we've all figured out that we're God's gift to all things
Yes,
for all
we are.
time. There's nothing more arrogant than modernity and post-modernity in my mind. But and that's what makes it so hard, right? No, I don't need to be held accountable. I got it all figured out. My kids, though.
Yeah.
But like I said, here we are living anxiety-filled, disconnected lives where none of us are really happy.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, we buy a new car, we buy a new home, we buy new clothes, we go to eat at restaurants, we binge watch TV, we get new games on our phones, we do all these things. And yeah, we think, and it does for a moment, makes you feel good. But it never, ever lasts. It's always out of order.
Yep.
I was thinking about that with a video game that is a dead game, but it's an emulator that I play with some friends. I made the comment, they always call on these old MMOs, they call for like fresh servers. It means like, let's restart the game.
Yeah.
That's going to bring more people in. It's not wrong. But statistically, people come in, they get excited. It's a brand new server. Everything's new, hits you different. But 100% of the time, within 90 days, 95% of the people are no longer playing.
Yep.
And then what do? They call for a restart all over again. Like, it makes you feel good for a moment, but it's not lasting. It's not. It's the problem with church hopping in America, too. You go to a new place. They understand me. Oh, this music is better. Oh, this preacher's so much more engaging. And then so often, within a very small window of time, you're bouncing from one to the next because you're bored. But that's not because the church did something wrong or your pastor did. It's because there's something out of order outside the gathering that you've not let people hold you accountable for.
Makes me think of like parishes and how you didn't have like the ability to church shop.
Yeah.
You just went to the church that was in your community with your community.
Yes. Which is what it should be now. That's another conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But I really do believe that.
Yeah.
You should be going to church in your town.
I think so too.
Now, you might live in a community like ours where, you know, you're 10 minutes away. Your county is your town.
Yeah.
I get that. But no one, I'm going to say this out loud right now. We'll talk about it another day. But if you live in Crawfordsville or Montgomery County and you're driving 2 hours or an hour away to go to church in a whole different county and community, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong. Anyway, that's a whole different conversation for another day. Boy, I can roll today. Maybe that'll be our quick fire Thursday. No, I mean, let's wrap it up. It's been long enough. We've kind of said what we need to say.
Yep.
But I think what I want to encourage you and my family and you, recognize in this Lenten season, it's always about fasting and prayer and meditation and becoming aware of God's presence. I think there'd be nothing better for your Easter Sunday morning service than for you to let God heal your brain over these next few weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like the best thing I did over sabbatical last summer, I never had my phone anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It felt so awesome. When I go off of Facebook, it feels wonderful to not be scrolling all the time. I just want to encourage you to not hold your kids accountable. Yes, do that. But first and foremost, I need you to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
And talk to your spouse or your friends or your church members that are close to you and say, I need your help.
Yeah.
I want to get to a point of life where the simple things that God gifts and gives are the best things. And not feeling like a brain dead zombie anymore, I think is really important. So have the sense of humility to admit it.
And it defeats a little bit of pride in yourself when you ask for help, which is always a good thing.
Humility. Because you can't, listen, friends, you can't get better on your own.
Right.
God provides God is the way of salvation, in Jesus and belief in Jesus, but you can't be holy on your own. That's what is Wesleyan people, right?
Yep.
There is no holiness but social holiness. You need accountability to help keep you in balance and keep you aligned with the will of God.
Makes me think of the saying, if you pray, God, please give me more patience in my life, He's going to give you ample opportunities to practice being patient. He's not just going to gift something to you like a magic wand. Ta-da, you're now patient.
Nope.
We need our people to help us out.
Yeah, you'll have people saying, you need to chill for a minute. And you need to let people talk to you like that. You need to let people you trust come to you and say, and I say this to you if I'm your pastor, like you need to let me and give me permission to be able to lead you as a pastor and say, that needs to stop in your life. Sometimes you need that kind of accountability. But it's all because I want you to experience God in the most beautiful, holy way possible.
Absolutely.
And that's what God calls you to, is holiness. So hold yourselves accountable. Take care of your kids. Take care of your spouse. Shut off the phones. Put them aside. Meditate on Scripture. Fast from those things before Easter.
Yeah.
Read Scripture and meditate on it. Learn to find joy in spending time with God again and not your phone. And with each other again and not... Like if we have a game night at church, I'm always disappointed because so few people come. And it's like, well, I don't do board games. It's like, no, because you want to watch TV.
Yeah.
I know some will disagree with that, but I don't think it's wrong.
Yeah.
We don't find joy in just being together anymore. We live in a world that is disconnected and filled with anxiety. And we're wanting to invite them into the kingdom of God. And it just doesn't look any different in here than it does out there.
Exactly.
I want my home to look different than it does out there.
And we're called to be different.
We are.
That's what we're supposed to be doing.
We are inviting them in to a kingdom that is different. The kingdom that is not consumed by the politics of the day.
Yep.
In fact, it invites people out of partisan politics. It invites you out of it. That's different than the world. We want to be different than a world that is consumed with overstimulation. We need to be less stimulated here, which means prioritizing fellowship and relationship time. It's why youth group, we collect their phones and we don't use screens and we just kind of get to a bare bones kind of ministry.
Which is why we have dinner before refuel.
Yeah. Come to dinner before refuel. Even if you don't like tacos or whatever's made, you can bring dinner with you. But stop kidding yourself. Discipleship, half the battle is not, it's not all just studying. Half the battle of discipleship is the people you put around you. So hold yourself, let people hold you accountable. Take care of your home. Turn off the TV, turn off the screen. Let Easter be profound and powerful at the sunrise when the pancakes are coming up because your mind's ready for it. And not just like,
You might feel that way.
You will feel that way.
About, what, 7?
It's okay to feel that way. It's
7
a 7 o'clock pancake breakfast. I know. I'm not going to, listen, I don't feel good at 5 o'clock when I wake up, but.
We'll have coffee.
You know what the most beautiful time of the day, though, is when I'm driving to church on a Sunday morning and there's hardly anyone out and it's so peaceful and quiet. I drive past the cornfields on the way to church and the sun's coming up. It's so beautiful. Yep. Let yourself experience that again. But yeah, unexpected conversation today.
And not quick fire at all.
And not quick fire at all. We went way longer than I meant to go, but I hope I mean, this conversation is meaningful to me because it's giving me some things to think about that I want to live out better at home.
Yeah.
So, the hope for my children to live a better life than me that we get wrong in American culture is not about that they get more money than me or have better property or an easier life. When I think about my kids living a better life than me, I want them to be free from the things that I've drug in or that have kept me away from the Lord for so long. I want them to have a better spiritual life.
Which, if your kids see you asking for help on stuff that you struggle with, that's the kind of vulnerability that we need to see in our society. Like it's not something that's easy. It's not something that's comfortable, but it's good for our kids to know that we are not perfect, even though we try to act like it. Like,
and gives them permission to say, I need help.
Say you're sorry when you mess up.
That's right.
Ask for help when you need it. These are the skills that our kids need to learn as well. So,
and they will learn it through you. So start with you.
Yep.
Start with you. We're all there. Let's, as a church, let's start living a different life. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't have screens, you can't have lights. It's not that. It's that keep it in balance.
Yeah.
We do that well here.
Yeah.
So you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but what are you inviting people into? I want to invite them into the right thing.
We talked about it in one of our first podcasts, like what you put inside your body matters. So just be mindful.
Yeah. Well, how about you? Do you feel like you are the most anxious generation of all time? Do you feel like your home and your brain and your stimulation's out of order? Hey, good news. It can be healed.
Yeah.
And we can find more joy in the simple things of God and in our own lives.
And we can be anxious about conspiracy theories that probably aren't real.
Yeah. In fact, maybe that's what drives so many conspiracy theories is we're overstimulated and we need more. Hey, guys, that's enough. Love you. Sorry it went so long, but I'm not sorry. Love you. Bye.
Bye. Do.